Hello everybody, my name is Lakin and welcome to Trash Games Tuesday, the show where we play free games to see if they're trash or treasure. Now today is one off of your recommendation. We're doing Genshin Impact. And oh boy, it's almost as if I can feel the dislike ratio already. But let's go ahead and get into it. Now you may not know this, probably because I'm not on a sex offender registry, but I actually play Genshin Impact quite a lot, or at least I used to. I'm a cool AR 50, might be 51 now, and I've played the game basically since the beginning, other than the hiatus I've been on since about February. So yes, long story short, I think at this point I'm more than qualified to speak on this game, at least historically. Which makes this a lot different from other Trash Games Tuesday episodes where it's usually off of a 2 to 3 hour first impression. And you guys who are a fan of Trash Games Tuesdays, you know exactly how we do this stuff. I'm going to give all the compliments to this game first, and then we'll tear into it later. Now, Genshin Impact, let me first say, the art direction in this game, obviously exceptional. All of the character designs are on point, with a few noteworthy exceptions that I will not point out because I know you guys get very defensive about your waifus and husbandos. But if we're being perfectly real here, when I say that there's a couple characters in this game that are pretty weak design-wise, there's probably one or two that popped into your head. So essentially, I'm going to let you have your headcanon on my opinion on this matter, since I know you guys like headcanons very much. So anyways, you've got this distinct anime-like style that's kind of grounded in a medieval setting, but it's also not so medieval that it prevents them from doing more abstract designs. They've made it very clear that there's a magical side to it, and you know what? All of the designs in this game work, and they feel unique and ubiquitous with everything they've established. And of course, cutscenes and such for story quests, always absolutely beautiful, incredibly breathtaking. The music in this game, well, let me tell you, I think whoever they have working on the music is definitely the highlight of this production, all in all. I am a massive, massive fan of Genshin's soundtrack. I mean, how could you not be? Like, just listen to this. Yeah! Cue that shit. This makes me want to beat the hell out of slimes. And of course, probably the biggest, most potent compliment I can give to Genshin is the support this game receives. There's a reason this thing's won Best Ongoing Game. Or at least I think it did. It did, right? I'm pretty sure it did. Anyway, Genshin fans are absolutely never short on content. I mean, the second one event ends, there's basically never even a week between one event and another, getting basically an update every single month. I mean, this game's been out for like probably almost 4 years now. They're still going incredibly strong with the content, extremely consistent. And what can I say? It's just great to see a game supported like this, but then again, of course they're supporting it because it makes them boatloads of fucking cash. Alright, now let's start critiquing this thing. I'm getting a sour taste in my mouth from being so nice. And you know what? Of course, let's start with the boatloads of cash that MiHoYo are making. One thing I've never heard anyone say about Genshin Impact is that it's consumer friendly. No, in fact, this game, of course, feels pretty much designed to milk money off of you. Now, I know someone's going to say, well, all free-to-play games are designed to make money off of you. That's the whole point of it being free-to-play. To which, sure, you'd be right to an extent. Listen, as far as I'm concerned, there are two forms of popular monetization in free-to-play games. There are games who make you spend money because you feel like it's out of necessity. And then there are games that make you spend money by winning you over with the power of cool. Now, to say it's 100% out of necessity would be unfair, but rolling for characters is a massive part of Genshin's gameplay loop, and, well, we all know it takes fucking forever to get those primos. Not to mention the sheer odds against you when you're trying to get one of these 5-star characters, it kind of starts to feel a little bit necessary. Especially when you're presented with things that appear like great deals, like Welkin Moon, something that's actually really not that great when you think about it. But I digress. Listen, we all know that gacha games are predatory, unnecessary. Gacha, I mean, it's shit. Okay, I don't need to tell you that. If you're a gacha supporter, I mean, I'm not really sure what to tell you. And yes, Genshin gets a lot of support, but first of all, let's talk about the downside of that at a certain point. There's so much fucking story in this game. Do you understand how long it would take someone to catch up if they were to start today? I'm actually pretty certain that Genshin must be longer than Persona 5 now, which is, I mean, I feel like Persona 5 should be viewed as the upper limit for how long a game should be. And some of these story quests just really fucking drag. Like, I feel like they could be shortened by at least 10 times and they would still be enjoyable. Sumeru in particular was just fucking nope. Sumeru, it was terrible. It was terrible. Like, there's a lot of story content, but basically maybe 25% of it is good, and that could be a pretty generous figure. And of course, don't make the mistake of thinking that all of Genshin's cutscenes are enjoyable. Most of them are just utter slop fests that, if you're anything like me, you're just gonna click through them. Half of the dialogue that's spoken in this game is not fucking important. Just straight up. And I'm pretty sure if you could cut out all of the useless talking scenes, it would cut the game's length down by like half, and that would be perfect. And then of course it's all coupled with somewhat unentertaining gameplay. You see, when this game came out, it got a lot of flack for quote-unquote copying Breath of the Wild. Now, it seems to me it only copied the bad parts of Breath of the Wild. You got a very lackluster copy of Breath of the Wild's combat here, taking away all of the parts that make Breath of the Wild's combat good. And then of course you wouldn't want to forget about the climbing system. How could we forget about the climbing system? But listen, the combat here, it's just monotonous as fuck. In fact, I think that's a pretty good way to describe this entire game, just extremely fucking monotonous. The story is interesting at some points, but the interesting parts are so few and far between that I wonder if it's even worth it. I gotta say, if I had to describe Genshin in one way, I would say it's the best game that you will never have fun playing. Honestly, I like this game, but genuinely I don't think I can ever once recall having fun playing it. Warframe is one of my favorite games, and honestly I feel the same way about that one too. I don't think I can ever recall actually having fun playing Warframe. Which is strange how the human brain works. We don't actually have to have fun playing a game to like it, which is, you know, maybe games aren't all about fun after all, and some of those weird, art game people are right. But of course, you know, it's worth saying, if you're one of those people who enjoys just grinding out like good builds and watching big numbers appear on your screen, I'm sure you'll like Genshin Impact. If you're a person who likes gacha games, you'll like Genshin Impact. If you're a person who just likes exploring, you'll probably like Genshin Impact. If you're a person who likes card games, actually the card game in Genshin is fucking excellent. Genuinely, this might be my hottest take today. I think the card game in Genshin is probably the best card game we've seen in a game since Gwent. So if you like card games, come on in. Now, you will not like Genshin if you're looking for engaging combat. You will not like Genshin if you're looking for constantly entertaining story quests. You will not like Genshin if you're only here for the cutscenes. If you're not a fan of gambling, you will not like Genshin. Of course, if you're not a fan of RPG games, if you're not a fan of grinding out the numbers, if you're not a fan of a massive, extremely monotonous time-gated grind, you will hate Genshin. As for my opinion on Genshin, it's an abusive relationship. The game is well supported, it has a great community around it. I don't think anyone has ever claimed that this is the greatest game ever. I mean, maybe someone out there has. As for my opinion on Genshin, there's just so much content here, and there's so much stuff to do in the game. Really, I can't bring myself to put this game down any further. Because the thing is, so many games launch these days that don't have content, that don't have things to do, that don't get consecutive updates, that lose support after a year or so. Genshin is not one of those games. I can't bring myself to give this thing any lower than a 7. Of course, there's a lot of points I haven't touched on or whatever, but I do like to keep these videos below 10 minutes. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and give Genshin a 7 out of 10. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Trash Games Tuesday. If you have any other games to recommend, put them down below because, like with this video, I look at all of the recommendations and I'm always looking for new free games to test out. Like I said, if you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, and yeah, that's going to be it from me. So I love you all, and I will see you all next time. Ciao.